Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Well, great afternoon. I'm Naima Latif, and you're watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. And we have had the opportunity and the honor to be present at the Rainbow Push National Convention. And as always, nationally and internationally, Rainbow Push has reached out to humanity to lift us up and remind us of our greater vision and our greater purpose. And that is to restore us to a level of love, peace, harmony, and most of all, fairness, justice, and equality. This has been a harrowing several months, but most definitely the last several days. The nation has been upset at visions of what we have seen in terms of the attacks on protesters, those who are raising their voices and using their marching feet to speak out against what is seen as inhumane treatment of people who have simply immigrated to another place in hopes of a better life. Now, there are a lot of issues involved, and we have certainly heard many voices, but the underlying problem is fear. Fear that someone is going to take something from us, when in fact there is enough on earth for everybody to share. The reason why we are fearing that there's going to be a conflict with those who are moving about the earth and coming to different countries is because we've been given the incorrect perception that there's not enough. And that happens when people hoard more than their share. In our society, people who hoard are called wealthy. Wealth is simply the access to materials that one is holding as one's own personal possession, or the symbol of the possession, which we have given money, whether in coins, property, whatever the case may be. Symbols of possession of wealth that a small percentage is holding on to as if it owns the greater portion of that which really was given to everybody on earth to share. Well, abundance is something we all have the power to create and obtain if we would simply share. As we prepare to celebrate a day in America known as Father's Day, and perhaps around the world, being able to acknowledge the importance of fatherhood, we in America must take a look at the family structure, which has been deliberately disturbed, distorted, and destroyed, and has had a major impact on our ability to attract, attain, and maintain abundance, wealth, possessions, symbols of ownership, that which would allow us to survive. So we're going to talk about that today, having attended a major discussion, a panel discussion led by Santita Jackson and Yusef Jackson, of the Rainbow Push Coalition, and of course, children of the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr., in this breakfast meeting in which we're taking a look at wealth, but not wealth in the sense of hoarding that which others need for survival, but wealth in the sense of the free-flowing abundance that's available to us all if we simply do what is necessary in order to attract it and share it and work together to maintain it. Families do this. The basic unit of wealth building is the family, the husband and the wife. They work in partnership to create that which they're going to need for their children. This is the basis of all species when it comes to how to create what your children are going to need in order for you to raise them in a safe, secure environment so that they may grow into a healthy adulthood. Something historically has happened among the African American community to our families that have become broken and dysfunctional and have therefore been unable to attract and acquire and maintain the necessary wealth, the necessary abundance, the necessary skills and materials that would make it possible for us to provide for our children. And so our children suffer and they become targeted and they become a part of the prison industrial complex, a business not there to keep our society safe, but to make money from those who struggle financially. It's the same system that Europe had. It's debtor's prison, where you could go to jail for not being able to pay your debts. It's the same system that those who immigrated from Europe eventually reinstituted in America, calling it something else. But basically, those who end up in prison are those of the economic class that cannot afford to pay their debts, to hire competent assistants if they are falsely accused, or to make good choices when it comes to how they're going to acquire their material goods, and often end up accused of or actually committing crimes in the process of trying to survive. We become the recipients of a very cruel system of punishing the poor when we cannot keep our families together. And this is the first line of defense when it comes to defending ourselves from, as we can see, a very cruel system of attacking those who need help. So let's join this discussion sponsored by the Rainbow Push Coalition, a breakfast meeting in which two wonderful scholars give us insight about what we must do to reconnect the family in order to empower ourselves economically. And when we make those decisions, then we will see a change in the conditions that affect our lives. So let's join them now.
But it will make me miserable first. Give a message. White folks are planning for 3 generations. We're planning for 79. Wow. There are 5 critical issues in our culture for the next 2 generations to deal with. I don't know if I'll be around that long. I just celebrated my 80th birthday a couple of weeks ago. Someone asked me a question, I was doing an interview, said, Dr. Fraser, what's your next big mountain to climb? And I said, to make it to 90. Here's some statistics on that. I asked AI, what is the chances of a black man living to be 80 plus? 4%. Wow. To make it to 90, 1%. I want to be one of the 1%. All right. Reverend Jackson will be one of the 1%, and the iconic family of the Jackson family, including the wives. We could not have found a better leader in this time. To include John Hope Bryant, who, what I love is he has taken the idea of civil rights to change them into silver rights. He'll expand on that. Of the 5 critical issues that we must work on, from my perspective as a brother who's been married to the same sister for 52 years, people ask me all the time, what's the key to staying married to the same sister? I emphasize that. For 52 years, so half a century plus 2. It's a very simple answer. Amnesia is the because in 52 years, Dr. Fraser is going to do some dumb shit. So is Laura Jean. When we do our dumb stuff, we come together, we discuss it like we have emotional intelligence, we reach middle ground, and then we bless it and release it, never to bring that shit up again. Unless you do it again. That's a whole nother conversation. I'm book, it'll be out in, I hope by the end of the year. I've been working on it for 3.5 years, The Existential Crisis of the Black Family, A Path to Resurrection. Yeah. Think about that. And I'll expand on it later in the conversation. But it has had a profound impact on one of the subjects we'll be discussing, and that is our ability to build the intergenerational transfer of wealth. And I'll give you the statistics on that and why that is. But we have serious work to do. And when I reveal some statistics, what you're not changing, you are choosing, you will understand that the key to solving a problem is to first know that you have a problem. So this is not a subject that we are talking about. It's very, very, very sensitive. It's very complex, but it applies to the modern man and the modern woman. Modern defined by artificial intelligence is those 18 to 49. It is not an OG problem. It is a modern day problem, and there is modern warfare today between the black man and the black woman. That needs to be fixed, and that needs to be solved. I'll just leave it at that, and we'll unpack it.
I'm sorry, what does warfare mean? I'm not gonna let you get away with that. What does warfare mean?
I'm not talking about guns and swords and knives. I'm talking about words and attitude. Words and attitude. That's what I'm talking about. And words cut deep. And really are more effective than getting stabbed. The wrong words can kill somebody. Mentally and morally and spiritually. So we'll get into it.
Thank you, Mr. Fraser. Chairman?
Wow, words can kill. A lot of times when it comes to our relationships, it's the words we say to each other that kill the love. And we can't maintain love between us. We can't maintain the family unit that is the foundation for our economy. And so we become the broken pieces that our children must then struggle to navigate through and compete with those with intact families and strong partnerships between their mothers and fathers, support systems of their communities, and a means whereby they can be supported for the furthering of their education and development. We're missing that when many of our families, often headed by single mothers, are full of stress because one person trying to do the job of two people, it just doesn't work. Somewhere something is lost because you need the support. And when fathers are in the home, it makes a difference. We're going to take a quick break and come right back with more from this event at Rainbow Push. We'll be right back after this quick break. We want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back in a moment as we greet our global family joining us from all around the world. We'll be right back. So stay with us.
We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network called 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you.
Yes, we do want to talk to you, and we want you to talk to us too. And you can give us a call, 727-731-5192. This is a time for us to reflect on what it is that we are doing that has created the condition. It's easy to blame someone else, but we must take responsibility for the choices that we're making. And when our very foundation falls apart, the partnership that is intended to be the safe and secure haven for our children, when that falls apart, then we become prey to a society that preys upon the weak. We can be strong when our mothers work with our fathers to provide for the children that have the capacity to develop and create all that they need in the society in which they were born. It's our responsibility. So tomorrow, as we prepare to celebrate Father's Day, let's take a look at some of the decisions that we're making that have destabilized our relationships, destabilized our families, and made us prey to those who wish to take away all that we have acquired. That can only happen when we are not united as a strong unit. So let's continue this discussion. And as always, we appreciate you, and you can write in your comments and we'll acknowledge your thoughts as we continue with this conversation at the Rainbow Push Convention, this breakfast empowering those who have lifted their voices in order to give us some knowledge. So let's continue.
Beneath the poverty level. The legislation was designed to create a more equal society. So to the extent that we're not closing the gap in wealth, if we're 1/6 as wealthy as white families, if Hispanics are 1/4 as wealthy as white families, well then the legislation is not as effective as it needs to be. So when we were 3 times less literate as a percentage than white families were in the 50s and 60s, and then in 1973, the poverty rate for black people fell down to 11%. So the work of the Great Society and the civil rights legislation was working. Now we're back up to 27, right? We can talk about education as well. So we go from that bridge to this bridge, from the 60s to now. How are you seeing?
Excuse me, and if I can add to this, the Institute for Policy Studies projects that African Americans will have negative wealth by 2053. So you see the arc.
You guys don't need me to speak. Just I'm glad I asked what the question was so that the audience could hear your very articulate summation of what got us here and where we were, which just underscores why you're next. And by the way, I'm here because of my respect for Dr. Reverend Ambassador. People don't know he's an ambassador for Africa, the entire continent. My respect for Mr. Jackson, but it's the tenacity of you. If you hadn't called, emailed, text, bothered me, and told me to be here, it wouldn't have happened. So your management ability was important to get me here, and it's important to get the organization where it's going. So PhDs are good, PhDs are better. This is to answer your question. Is civil rights important? Of course it is. Civil rights was not just an era or a movement, and by the way, my mentor, Ambassador Andrew Young, sends his best. I just talked to him this morning on the way here, 93 years young. Wow. He's sitting there contemplating whether he's going to get knee surgery or not at 93. He's flying every week, and he's active just like you, so he sends his best for everybody. The Civil Rights Movement was the second Reconstruction. You're in the third Reconstruction. There's only been 3. First Reconstruction was Civil War, and immediately thereafter, and that was about freedom. And that, by the way, that was black and white. That was Abraham Lincoln, and there was others, but Frederick Douglass, notably. It was 40 acres, January 1865. There was a mule, February 1865. That was Savannah, Georgia, Field Action 15. There was a bank created, the Freedmen's Bank, March 3rd, 1865. Then Lincoln promised blacks the right to vote, and Booth said that was a bridge too far, he'd never give another speech. That was April 1865. That was 4 months. Land, mule. By the way, don't accept anything I'm saying as fact. Use your smartphone to be smart. Do your own research. We can do it in real time while I'm talking. Can't make this up. Land, mule, machinery, banking, finance, financial literacy, essentially 1865, because it was chartered to teach free slaves about money in the Freedmen's Bank, and then the right to vote. Again, assassination, April. 4 months. And if that had succeeded all the way to the end, I call that the Black Jewish business model. Some of you will catch that later. So I don't know. But by the way, that's what we're missing. We do need a Black Jewish business model, a Black Jewish business plan. I'll come back to that. And we need to be non-emotional, by the way. We're too personal. We take stuff way too personal. It don't really matter what you feel about what I'm saying. It either works or it doesn't. Because what we've been doing, as far as beyond just civil rights, has not worked. Because our net worth by 2053 actually will be zero if we don't do anything. This is before this administration. This is not, you can't blame this on this administration. This was way over before this administration. The net worth of all Black people, not poor people, was scheduled to be, if we do nothing else, zero. So after, go ahead.
Why?
So Reconstruction typically gets interrupted in the first couple of 3 years, by the way, because it's just too much for the system and there's pushback. So what happened after the first one? Within 2 years, you had pushback, and literally they gave the land back to the people who owned it before, the former slave owners, former plantation owners. You fast forward now to the second Reconstruction, which is the leaders of the Civil Rights Movement, and they're as important as the framers of the Constitution.
Yes.
I mean, this is Adams and George. I mean, this is all of the heroes and sheroes of the creation of this country. They just happen to be Black. The second Reconstruction was about access, and you needed the government for that. And in 1952, America was 90% Caucasian. Let that sink in for a minute. The whole country was 90% white. So what they did in the Civil Rights Movement was nothing short of extraordinary. Basically a moral calling to get the country to do the right thing. But that was about access. And access to jobs, access to the polling booth, access to facilities, broadband, access to education. But we cashed a check, we didn't learn to write it. So now I'm just doing this real quickly. So now you're in the third Reconstruction, which I think started with COVID and started with George Floyd's murder. And coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. I think COVID was a Noah's Ark moment. Because the only reason that we even noticed George Floyd is that everybody was sitting at home watching the TV set because of COVID. Sure. Otherwise, it would have been like, oh, did you hear about that horrible thing? Okay, what time is dinner? And people didn't move on to something else. Everybody was focused on it. It changed everything. So, and then within 2 years of the largest sort of social justice reckoning on Black America economically, within 2 years, what happened? Pushback. And of course, we know what happened in the 60s. It was a decade of assassinations and so on and so forth. And women got affirmative action because Blacks were denied it. In 1972, a woman couldn't get a bank account, not 1872. Right. And I'm not talking about Black women, all women. A white woman with blonde hair and blue eyes could not in 1972, please check this out, don't take my word for it, could not get a bank account and could not get a loan unless her husband co-signed it. This was a real debate about whether women should have rights and all. It was a real debate. And women got the benefit of affirmative action because after Kennedy and Johnson and King and Jesse and everybody else, and by the way, Operation Breadbasket, I didn't mention that, that was brilliant. That was Operation Hope, well ahead of our time. Because of all that, the system said, the society said, well, this is just too much. And so Nixon was a reaction to, no different than I think the current president is a reaction to Obama. Nixon was a reaction, and they said, let's give affirmative action to women. And they codified it for women. Now, today you're in an era of opportunity. Now, we didn't talk about this before I got here, but you mentioned it. I think you're going from civil rights to civil rights, not or, and. Two things can be true at the same time. We're gonna have to be bilingual, by the way. Right. We need red rooms, stopping bad things happening to good people. You need green rooms, access to capital, access to internship, access to apprenticeships, access to opportunity, access to business growth, access to home ownership. I mean, the number one way you build wealth in America is home ownership. Why is it that Black people own 44% of homes compared to 75% of our mainstream counterparts? I mean, the whole tax policy in America is designed around home ownership. That's not my opinion. That's a dead fact. That's a live fact, actually. The entire American tax policy is designed around home ownership. That's why 75% of white people own home. So we should be obsessing about a few things. You mentioned mortality rates, and this goes directly to your point. If you live in I like math because it doesn't have an opinion. Whether you're in a black and brown, this will really level the playing field about whether we've been bamboozled. Whether you're black and brown urban, or whether you're poor, white, rural, if your credit score is 500, here's what you see. Now you keep me honest on this. If I don't get this right, just walk me right out the door, and then George will finish the rest of the session. We cool? Hold me honest on this, right? If you know this has to be exactly right. Whether you're black and brown urban or you're poor, white, rural, here's what you see in a 500 credit score neighborhood. A check casher. Yes. Yeah. Next to a payday loan lender. Yeah. Next to a rent-to-own store. Next to a car title lender. Next to a pawn shop. A liquor store. Fast food restaurant, if you're lucky, which is not real food, by the way, which is why we're inflamed. We're not fat, we're inflamed. And a church down the street, trying to make you feel a little bit better once a week, that's your neighborhood therapist. Why don't you go see a shrink? Oh, I don't want anybody to think I'm crazy. If you black and American don't think you're crazy, you're crazy. Now, we praise differently. Black folks, we hoop and holler because we're emotional. We're from Africa. White folks, they quiet. They still go to church, and by the way, we riot loudly. We riot in the streets. They riot in the ballot box.
All right. Well, now that doesn't say it all. That's what we need to do. Make a difference at the ballot box. Like those who have seized power over their own communities. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to take a look at the power of our communities when we can be united as mothers and fathers. As we get ready to celebrate Father's Day, we're going to talk to one who has been celebrating fathers with a very special program called Real Men Cook, where we get a chance to see those men who are making a difference in their families and in their communities, in a cultural event that reminds us that we need both for a strong economy. Yvette Moyo joins us, and we'll be right back after this quick break. So we invite you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. Be back in a moment. Stay with us.
I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all. Race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
And we are back. And you are watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, and joining us is the Yvette Moyo. Definitely one whom you should know, founder of Real Men Cook and publisher of a fabulous publication that you can pick up and read all about the South Shore area and the South Side, and owner of The Quarry, a building that houses so many exciting events that enrich and uplift our community. And of course, she's attending the Rainbow Push Convention there on the South Side of Chicago. We had a fabulous address by Mayor Brandon Johnson and many others. But Yvette Moyo, I want to thank you for joining us today on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor and pleasure, Naima. You're doing such a great job, and wonderful to meet your three sisters often on this show.
Yes, yes. Well, you've been out there for a while lifting up the family with an event that happens every year, Father's Day, Real Men Cook, which I think not only gives prominent men and even some unknown men an opportunity to interact with the community with a necessary skill, but to also remind us of the need for balance in our families so that we can have economic balance. And often it's our men who don't get the proper recognition for what they do and what they must do in the upholding of the family. So tell us how did you, first of all, with Real Men Cook, I've been following it for a while and even, urged some of my friends to get involved, but what was the incentive behind creating that? And of course, it's coming up tomorrow. Give us a bit of insight about that.
It was actually our blended family. I got married and I always wanted a big family, and I had one son and felt like, wow, that's all that I'm going to do. And had such a mothering spirit. And so I fell in love, got married, and had a big blended family. And so what we thought about for the children of the family is, what will they do on Father's Day? Will they feel less than because their biological father was not in the home? Or what could we do to empathize with other children who don't have the dad in the home, but are blessed by the dad's presence, however that shows up? No matter what the configuration of the family, how could we make sure that we're acknowledging everyone, all the children of the world, and all the men who may not have the opportunity to be in the same household with their children, but have the same obligation to their children to stay connected? And what better than, when we were early in our marriage, I found that my husband at the time was um, eager to cook for his children who lived out of town when they came in town and stayed with us all summer and every holiday. And he wanted to cook and serve them. And the delight that they got out of that experience was wonderful. And I heard of a woman in New York who was doing a fundraiser for an art school in New York, and it was called Men Who Cook. And so I called her. Could we do this? And this is my idea. I want to do it on Father's Day. I want to brand it. I want to have Black men featured as the best fathers in the world. And she said, I don't mind you doing whatever you want to do. Obviously, you have a passion for it. I don't own the idea. This takes place in my home. It's a fundraiser for our art school in New York. Why don't you do what you want to do? And that was 36 years ago. And we launched the first Real Men Who Cook in honor of her and the name of her event in Chicago. And ever since, we changed it to Real Men Cook because our brothers had that testosterone and they wanted to be more, they wanted to show more action there. And there we are. That's what we've been doing for the last 36 years. as of tomorrow, Father's Day.
Yes, well, it's been highly successful, and a lot of men look forward to getting involved with this. We know that our families are in trouble, many because economic distress, men who lose jobs, women who become overwhelmed with then having to juggle uh, familyhood with the cooking and cleaning. So I think the Real Men Cook, it really kind of helps balance our culture because we need shared responsibilities. There was a time when people didn't teach their sons how to cook. So there's a problem if you're the breadwinner and then suddenly you can't work, but then you sit at home all day and wait for your wife who's working to come home and cook the meal. That's a problem. Eventually she's going to get angry. So I think even the Real Men Cook program, it kind of helps us culturally to develop the skills that our men need to share the responsibilities of the cooking and all the other work that needs to be done. So I thank you for that because I think it's had a very positive impact on our culture.
You're absolutely right, and you're welcome. Actually, that is probably, what we have come to say after the first event is that people come for the food, for the food, the fun, the music, and they leave fed. Their souls and hearts and their spirits are fed by seeing the truth about our men. That many men serve unconditionally without any expectation for reward. Many men step up to the plate. If it's cereal in the morning, that's a bonding to be with those children. It just sort of eclipses a gift, a physical gift, because that serving and cooking is a gift from the heart. Now, there's some guys that don't cook, but they're still there. And we're honoring all of that. And so while the macho and the guys that volunteer to cook the food, to buy it, and to serve it, and to stand up as the celebrities for one day on Father's Day, every year they can count on that, which doesn't happen often. In addition to that, the men who attend get a chance to get acknowledged throughout the event for being there, for the possibility of what they can be in the future, and the hopes and dreams of their children.
That's fabulous. Now, for those who are in and around the Chicagoland area, when and where is the Real Men Cook event going to be held tomorrow?
Excuse me. That event takes place at the Quarry, which is between Yates and Phillips.
Mhm.
Excuse
It's on the east side. For those who are familiar with Chicago, that's the east side of Chicago, on 75th Street, which is a business district,
Yes.
and that's that's a building that you have been managing for the past several years, which gives us an opportunity to hold events there and also interact in a way that helps to enhance the economics in the southeast side of Chicago. So that's a critical point as well. Economics is such a big part of what we need to generate in order to address many of the issues in our families.
Yes, in fact, the event is a fundraiser. In the
Mm.
past 25 years, the funds were raised for other organizations, and we raised more than $1 million that we gave away or that was raised through ticket sales, and we allowed those organizations to keep. We did that in probably the first 10 or 15. The
Mm.
economy changed drastically. The social economic conditions changed drastically. And so we brought property. We bought the quarry in South Shore after volunteering for a couple who really had a vision for the quarry to be a place where you think rocks and we turn them into diamonds, and that's what we say to our children. It's a place
Mm.
where rock, but cultivated and refined, they become diamonds. And so we are on 75th and Yates, right to the east of Yates. I mean, yes, to the east of Yates, to prove that a commitment of purchasing of commercial property to to uplift and support the community, as well as offer space for people to rent and to have their celebrations, their birthdays, their proms, their repasts and commemorations for the people that they love, their parties. That's why we're there. So the quarry, having the real men cook at the quarry after recent economic turndowns over the last decade in our communities was a perfect choice for us. And in 3 hours, we can get in 1,000 people with our
Wow.
patio holds 300. One of our inside rooms hold 240 people in on the outside and the parking lot. There's an opportunity in 3 hours because the average time people spend is about an hour and a half. They're sampling food. They're shouting Happy Father's Day. They're seeing live entertainment, and it's a stand up, move around event. So after an hour and a half, people leave, and those people that stood in line for an hour to get in, they're ready to come in. Heard about us on the radio while we were live at the event. So it's a really rewarding to see our venue, the quarry, used in that way. And it's also an enlightenment for people who feel that there's no place in the city for them to go. They're discovering our commitment to the community, the art, the culture of it. And so it delivers in many ways on the event purpose and mission, which is to build healthy families and communities, which is the mission of our nonprofit, Real Men Charities, which was born out of the spirit of the Real Men Cook events. About 10 years ago, we were doing these annual events. Then we founded the nonprofit to do this work every single day.
Well, that I definitely congratulate you for the success of this event. It has been consistently bringing people together during this time, and also giving men an opportunity to highlight their cooking skills. And it's a safe place for people to gather and interact.
You know
And
what?
yes.
That Safe and Peaceful Chicago, our nonprofit is supported by the Safe and Peaceful Chicago grant. It's
Wonderful.
probably the last 9 years, and also University of Chicago Medicine that helps us fulfill our health and wellness, this community health and wellness. So our community is healthy and feels healed by all men, the attendees with tickets, as well as men who are cooking. All men feel appreciated and seen at our events. And we
Mm.
in our magazine too, which is also published by
Yes.
Southside Drive, and on the
Yes. Side Drive. Yes. Very wonderful magazine. And of course, you've got many of the people who make things happen in Chicago. This is the latest edition, the June edition.
yes, that is Michael Damani, who's on the cover, who's a blues musician that had a regular set at the Quarry for many years, and he's going on to do great things in the city at the Blues Fest, or he's going to be at the Jazz Fest, I think. And then his father, who is the a principal in the Obama Foundation, and who met Michelle and Barack at the law offices, where he ended up coming and telling them that he wanted to be a lawyer. And these many years, he went to the White House with them, and
Wow.
now Chicago with the he grew up in Chatham. The story
Yeah.
that few others are telling, as well as Soyini Walton is featured in that issue.
Yeah. You got one of my favorite people. She's such a dynamic woman, and I don't know what kind of serum she's taking, but she does not age. I mean, she's the best advertisement for vegetarianism you can have. I have seen this. I've known her at least about 20 years, and she has looked like this every last one of those years. So yes, she's definitely a educator.
Yes, and here's the thing. Why our magazine is so different. It's called Southside Drive Guide to the Good Life Chicago. And Soini Walton is a very good example of that. what's her secret? We're telling her secret, and we're calling her a queenager,
I like
because she line dances. She loves music, supports that, and she's still on the board of the Betty charter schools, which she
yeah,
helps when they
yeah,
were the education.
right.
I
I
work.
remember my daughter Zakia Latif. She graduated from that institution, and I had the pleasure of teaching at their various schools and
Wow.
seeing the difference in children when they're raised in a family-oriented society and a community kind of a culture. That's really what's needed, and that's what I see. If we could spread that spirit out to the rest of the city, the nation, and the world, things would change overnight if we could take that spirit of unity and familyhood and respect for our culture.
Well, that's what you're doing with your show, Naima. And I want to just say thank you for your tenacity. I remember when you were first starting out on this Corey,
Yes, yes,
asking
yes.
for offices, even before we purchased, which I think
Ah,
we purchased in 27. We formed a corporation to purchase in 2017,
mm,
and you when I was there as if I was being paid full time, creating the programs and the people and all that. So I just say that women are so important to the freedom of our people and to the essential stories, telling the truth that we rarely need a man who's left his children, you know, because he's wanted to. The
mm,
social equations that move our brothers away, and now the culture that says certain things are okay. It's up to us, and this is why we publish the magazine. I'm sure this is why you do the show. We've got
yeah,
to tell stories that don't often get told. Like, uh,
yeah,
how does a high ranking lawyer who's leading one of the major foundations in the country deal with a son that wants to be a blues artist? Support him and provide the love for
yeah,
him, not less than. You are on your path, and I support you 100%. That's a story that will help enliven the lives of father and son relationships that may not be working today, but they may read that article and say, "This is what it's all about." Love will trump everything else, even the political situation out here in the world. That is going to be love and the stories about how great we are as a people. And that's why we continue to publish Southside Drive and open our doors to the quarry for folks to rent at a reasonable age, the space they need to do the celebrations, the educations and training programs, and many other activities where people gather. Often we don't have a place to gather. We hope that we're providing.
yes. Well, that's a significant thing because, as you know, often we don't have places to gather, which we need to own more of these spaces, and we need to gather more. And that has a lot to do with our economic success in our communities, being able to transform the places. And you've done some wonderful things with the quarry, the events that have been held there, very informative, and people feel comfortable coming in that environment. So definitely, I congratulate you for your success over the years, your tenacity, and continuing to grow and build and inspire. This is what we need. So, how can people get in touch with you if they, number one, want to rent the quarry, or number two, want to share a story in the Southside Drive publication, or if they want to be a part of Real Men Cook next year and share their recipes and be involved in the program? How do they get in touch with you?
Phase one is tomorrow. You can come to Real Men Cook. Our tickets are sold on the Black platform Event Noir. That's EVENTNORE. And if you Google that event and Real Men Cook, you'll come up with the 36th annual ticket opportunity. Or you can go to our website, which is Real Men Charities, CHARITIES, Inc. INC. donate and make a donation to support what we've been doing for 36 years without ceasing. And the other way is to call the quarry to book an event, celebration, training, or educational opportunity. We even have a summer camp there. That number is 312-259-1143. And you'll probably talk to Sister Imani, who also has her retail pop up there, Imani's bean pies and finer foods. So we're selling, salads, uh, bean pies, soups, and healthy items from through Imani's Finer Foods, who we have a partnership with there at the quarry. She'll probably answer the phone at the quarry, and you can speak with her about her event. Again, that's 312-259-1143.
Ah, yes. Yes. We've matter of fact, we've talked to Imani and had a chance to buy her bean pies on a regular basis. I think we had uh, even allowed our audience to win a bean pie when they called in. But yes, that is uh, an opportunity for many of us to get a good, healthy dessert, as well as, to meet somebody as an entrepreneur who has had the tenacity to get space from you in a very uplifting environment, and to do an excellent job in producing something for the community. Now, I want to make sure I put this contact information on the screen. I do believe we've got, let's see, the quarry at 312-259 1143.
143.
Okay, all right. Yes, we want to make sure we add that and give our, and then of course there's Real Men Charities Inc. Was that .com?
.org.
.org?
.org.
Oh, .org.
Uh,
And that was at
like I
slash.
can't /donate. DONATE. So that's REALMENCHRISTINC.org/donate. And you'll be able to put that up on your screen. But that is way a lot of people, when you like something and you like the spirit of it, but you wish you could be there and you can't. $5, $10, $100, $36 for our 36 years, $350 for whatever you want to say to bless us and thank us for our work. We greatly appreciate it. And that goes to directly to the nonprofit Real Men Charity. Yes, I see you.
So
Very
that's
good.
realmancharities.org/donate. And then, of course, to call Yvette Moyo and perhaps book the quarry for an event, you can call that number on the screen, which is 312 259 1143. And it's a beautiful space in the South Shore area of Chicago. And we appreciate you for sharing your gifts and skills with the community and making it possible for us to meet some real men who cook. Definitely. So tomorrow, then give us the address and time that event starts.
The time is 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's a quick Father's Day gift for the entire family. Even single moms bring their children to observe how men serve. It's a great visual example. Be what you can't see. So
Yeah.
mom, think you're not doing anything on Father's Day? The best thing you can do is grab your children and bring them out. Answer the questions they might have about fatherhood and let them know this is about fatherhood, fathers and father figures, people that stand in the gap, men that are coaches and neighbors and uncles and your sons and your brothers who stand in the gap so those children can grow up to be healthy and happy and secure. So there's
Mm.
something for everyone. There's a purpose and a meaning and joy here on Father's Day for everyone at Real Men Cook.
All right. Well, thank you for all you do. We appreciate you. We've been at the Rainbow Push International Convention for this year, getting some inspiration and motivation so that we can continue the work that we're doing to make a difference in this world. And thank you for doing your part, Yvette Moyo.
Thank you so much.
And we will be back tomorrow. So join us here on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. And until that time, continue to shine your light.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.